I'm kind of blacklisted. I haven't gotten a studio job in 15 years.
So you feel in a way that you are banned from the...
No, not in a way.
You are?
Yeah, I think.
Shut the video camera off.
I will keep it on until we're rehearsing.
Oh, damn!
Val Kilmer didn't just walk away from Hollywood. He was erased right after reaching the peak of his career. He vanished from blockbusters without warning. And now Mel Gibson is finally revealing the disturbing truth about why Kilmer refused to play by the rules and how that decision may have cost him everything. Let's rewind to the 1980s and early. Nine's Val Kilmer wasn't just in movies. He was the movie Juilliard-trained youngest accepted ever, and bursting with raw talent, Kilmer had the kind of magnetism casting agents, for he was cocky, sure. But he had the receipts, top secret Top Gun, The Doors' Tombstone, when he played Jim. Morrison fans swore he was Morrison by the time he put on the Batman suit for Batman Forever in 1995. He was Hollywood royalty. But just as fast as he rose, he vanished when Batman and Robin came around. Kilmer was nowhere in sight. George Clooney stepped in. No explanation, no follow-up, just silence. Director Joel Schumacher didn't just let it slide. Joel did not hold back when he finally aired out his drama with Val Kilmer in an interview with The Independent. Like, he went off. This wasn't shade. This was full-blown deforestation. He straight up called Val psychotic. He ranted about being done defending overpaid, overprivileged actors, and even said he prayed to never work with Val again. Then he added the ultimate petty line: he was badly behaved, he was rude and inappropriate. Then we had 2 weeks where he did not speak to me. But it was bliss now. Let's be real for a sec, since when has being difficult ever gotten a man kicked out of Hollywood? Please, half the industry runs on tantrums and ego trips. Plenty of leading men have thrown chairs on set, cursed out staff, and still walked home with Oscars. So the question is, was Val really that bad? Or was he just not playing the right game with the right people? Then came the blacklisting whispers. Val himself admitted.
But do you think that people found it difficult to work with you because of that?
Yeah, what's the one past difficult? Impossible?
Impossible.
Yeah, I'm kind of blacklisted. I haven't gotten a studio job in 15 years.
So you feel in a way that you are banned from the...
No, not in a way.
You are?
Yeah, I think.
Are your goal to get back, or...?
Yeah, I'd love to. I've always watched movies and wondered what I'd be like in that part.
He said it wasn't his behavior, it was his refusal to play by the rules.
Yeah, I had ideas, insecurities, obviously, about myself that I projected onto the movie business. Just the sounds coming out of my mouth, it was just absurdly unrealistic. So apparently, I have an evil twin.
The industry demanded silence and obedience.
I was a dumb actor, but I did complain quite a bit when I was younger. I didn't appreciate the business that afforded me the lifestyle that I very quickly enjoyed. Very quickly. I starred in my first movie. I was the lead in the first play I did professionally. And now that I don't have that privilege, I wish that I loved more. I want to be a better person. I try to figure that out every day, and of being more grateful.
And he made the mistake of thinking it was about the art.
If you get back, will you behave in another way, or...?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the way that gets me hired again. I was very outspoken about very specific things about the art, but it's a business, and I acted like it wasn't.
That's when the timeline starts getting suspicious. Around 1998 to 1999, Kilmer falls off. And it's not just him. Mel Gibson, Wesley Snipes, Brendan Fraser. They all go dark around the same era. Mel, once the king of box office, suddenly can't get a gig unless he finances the movie himself. Wesley gets thrown in prison over taxes his accountant supposedly fumbled. Brendan vanishes after calling out a boo. Are we seeing a pattern here? Because the internet thinks so. And Mel, he said the quiet part out loud in 1998.
I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on, because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And and I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it.
He described Hollywood like a creepy saloon in a Western where the second you walk in, everyone goes quiet.
A whole place can't be like, you know, Weird Town, you know, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them, and they tell you don't go into the house on the hill, and it's like that. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track.
But as time passed, he realized he wasn't paranoid. He was right after directing The Passion of the Christ. He got the silent treatment from every major studio. He was forced to bankroll his own projects. Now, get this, 1999 Stanley Kubrick drops Eyes Wide Shut Secret Societies. Masks, elite parties, the whole film reads like a metaphor for the underbelly of Hollywood. Then Kubrick dies, not just dies, before he can approve the final cut. Allegedly 25 minutes of footage were deleted, and guess what else happened in 1999? Val Kilmer exited Hollywood's a list. And speaking of masks, Batman, think about it. Val Kilmer's Batman was cold, haunted, a shell of a man. A perfect metaphor for someone who's seen too much, worn too many masks. Kilmer wasn't just an actor. He was a documentarian of his own life. He filmed everything. Childhood sets, private moments, like he knew he'd need receipts. His 2021 documentary Val was haunting.
Hours of videotapes and film reels that I've shot throughout my life and career.
Shut the video camera off.
I will keep it on until we're rehearsing.
Oh, damn!
Not just because of the footage, but because of the undertone. It was a man archiving his own eraser. And then there's the island, you know, the one, the flights, the lists, the silence, the timing. Kilmer's downfall lines up perfectly with the rise of whispers around Epstein's circle did. Kilmer refused an invitation, say the wrong thing, we don't know. But let's just say that too many careers crashed around the same time for it to be a coincidence. But let's rewind to 2015. That's when the script for Sound of Freedom was first written, a movie about childing based on the real-life work of former Homeland Security agent Tim Ballard. Filming wrapped in 2018. You think this would have been a big release, right? Nope, it got passed around like an unwanted group project. Nobody wanted to present it, sat untouched for 5 years. Why? Well, here's where it starts getting sus. The movie was originally going to be distributed by 20th Century Fox. But plot twist, Disney bought Fox in 2019, and when they did, they inherited Sound of Freedom and basically locked it in a vault. Suddenly, it's like the film didn't exist. And let's be real, this is where people started side-eyeing the situation, because why? Would Disney of all studios suppress a movie about saving kids from fans? We're already speculating. But then Mel Gibson stepped in and made it even messier. Mel's been Hollywood's black sheep since forever. Like, this man has been calling out the industry's dark energy since the late 90s back. Then he was still trying to figure out whether he was paranoid or if Hollywood was actually giving haunted house energy. But the longer he stayed, the more convinced he became it's not paranoia. If they're actually hiding something. He once described Hollywood like some twisted small town where everyone knows the secret, but no one talks. One of the moments that stuck with people was when he shared what a powerful producer allegedly told him. Mel clocked Hollywood early on for being spiritually bankrupt, and as time went on, he wasn't quiet about it. He called them out for the way they treat women, exploit kids, and protect predators. So when Sound of Freedom finally did get released independently and started making waves, Mel supporting it felt personal. And guess what? The film made nearly $100 million worldwide on a $14 million budget. But the mainstream media dead silent, actually scratched that they weren't silent. They were hostile: CNN, Rolling Stone, The Guardian, all labeled it conspiracy bait. No in-depth critique, no facts, just vibes and shade. Despite being pretty much iced out of mainstream projects, Mel's still been trying to make moves. He's been hyping up Lethal Weapon 5, saying it's actually the best script in the whole franchise according to him. It's written, it's ready, it just won't get made, and even he can't explain why. But let's be real. It's probably less about script quality and more about how risky studios think his name still is. And that's the thing, he's not totally wrong to feel frustrated, because there are people in Hollywood who've done wild things and got let back in with open arms. So why not him? That's the question he's been asking for years. Interestingly, there are a few people in the industry who've stuck their necks out for Mel. Robert Downey Jr., aka Mr. Comeback King, famously vouched for him, and more recently Andrew Garfield backed him too when Garfield was promoting Hacksaw Ridge, which Mel directed. He made a point to say, everyone deserves second, third, even fourth chances, but that's not happening anytime soon. Now, Mel's hinting that Val knew the price of fame in Hollywood wasn't just hard work. It was your soul. In Kilmer, he wasn't about to sign that spiritual lease. Mel basically implied that Val saw too much, asked the wrong questions, and said nah to the elite handshake. And just like that, roles dried up, projects vanished, and the media flipped the narrative on him. It wasn't just about being sick or stepping back. According to Mel, Val was pushed out for refusing to play by the unspoken rules. The same shadowy system that Mel's been calling out for years allegedly turned its back on Kilmer for not complying. And now people are starting to wonder if the blacklisting was less about ego and more about exposure. By the time Val came back as Iceman and Maverick, it felt like a miracle, like a comeback. But if you rewatch that scene now, it doesn't feel like a return. It feels like a goodbye. That voice you heard in the movie, not really his. It was part AI, part old recordings, part smoke and mirrors. He wanted to do that scene so badly, they made it work. But off camera, he was struggling hard. Every shoot day took a toll. Every line was a battle. And here's the thing, after that movie, Val went quiet, like really quiet. He stopped doing interviews, stopped making appearances. Fans thought he was just taking it easy, living life in private. But what we didn't know is that he was slowly disappearing for real. His friends started noticing it too. He wasn't answering calls, he wasn't responding to texts. Some hadn't seen him in months, even family members were out of the loop. But still nobody really pressed, because hey, he was Val Kilmer, the enigma, the spiritual artist, the man who turned solitude into a lifestyle until he died on April 1st. Many probably wished it was an April Fool's prank, but it wasn't, and the autopsy report came out. And then everything changed. Even though he was battling throat cancer, his death cause was officially pneumonia. But pneumonia is the Hollywood go-to for unexplained passings. Kim Porter, Andre Harrell, same story, a convenient illness that silences the loud. Kilmer had lingering infections and surgical wounds that hadn't healed and was severely malnourished. The coroner's report hinted at neglect or maybe intentional withdrawal, malnutrition, muscle wasting, untreated infections, healing wounds from old surgeries that never healed. It was the kind of physical state you'd expect from someone who'd been slowly fading for a long time. The coroner even noted that some of the infections could have been treated, but they weren't, because Val wasn't talking. He wasn't asking for help. He was hurting badly and keeping it all inside. And then there were the meds. The report found high levels of prescription painkillers, not enough to, but enough to know this man was in constant pain, not just physical, but probably emotional too, the kind of pain you stop trying to explain to people because no one really gets it. He'd spent the last few years painting, journaling, and staying close to his kids, but also isolating. And let's not forget the Batman tribute he posted just days before his death.
I have an article for us. It's been a while.
Oh, you look great.
In the end, Val Kilmer was more than a star. He was a whistleblower and a CAPA man who dared to say no in an industry built on silence. And if he was blacklisted for that, it begs the question, who else stayed quiet to survive maybe Kilmer's silence? Wasn't weakness, maybe it was strategy protection. Maybe the real story isn't how he died, but why he disappeared. And if that shook you, you're not alone. But you're going to want to watch our next video.